Done. Good morning. Today I'm taking you along on a full day of garden related chores. Now it's March, so a lot of those are going to be indoors. It is early morning, the sun is up, and everyone else in this house has gotten off to work or school. So we're going to start the morning by going to turn on our grow lights and check on the seedlings.
Morning, Molly.
Seedlings are downstairs. We're just going to be down here for a few minutes. I'm feeling extra energized this morning because I hit a 6 a.m. yoga class. I am not really a morning person, but I am trying to be a morning person. As much as I hate getting up at 6 a.m., it is such a fantastic class and I'm glad I'm there. But if I don't have a specific reason to get up that early, I will not do it. I have 5 racks and they are all full. So we need to do a little bit of shuffling today. First thing I'm checking are the soil blocks. Anything, my broccoli is a little bit dry. I have a lot of really beautiful looking seedlings, but I do have some not so nice looking ones too. So I am going to share all of those with you guys today because honesty is important. Now, my first round of stock unfortunately got way too dry and a lot of these did not recover, and the rest of them were looking fine until a couple of days ago. Luckily I have a few more trays, bigger trays coming along after. I might just call these a loss. Now, there are some beautiful looking carnations in this broken plastic tray. I do like to use what I have. I secretly really enjoy taking a few seconds to watch these soil blocks soak up all this water because it is shocking how fast they do that. In about 5 more seconds, all of this water will be gone. It's always worth checking though, just to make sure all the water is getting all the way to the back. There are 6 sets of blocks. You can only really see the first 4 sets. There are more there in the back, but I can see that they're not all that wet. There. This is exactly how I broke this, by lifting the corner to make sure it gets to the ones on the other side. So you can see now that that water is completely soaked up. And these ones are all nicely watered and happy. So up top we have green onions, spinach in the back. That is last year's tag. This is in fact mustard greens, I'm pretty sure, with feverfew in the back. Oh, I have not showed you guys my Meconopsis yet. This is an exciting one. Meconopsis blue Himalayan poppy. These are the tiniest of seedlings. Bailey and a handful of Lingholm will follow their progress throughout the season. And in the back there are more carnations. That is more lettuce, this is Rebecca, and this back here, focus, is chamomile. Shelf number 2, we have snapdragons. We have that very sad looking stalk. We have Sweet William, terrible germination. I have more of those started. There's the carnations we just watered, and these are bachelor's buttons. Shelf number 3, we have peppers. We have more peppers. We have broccolini, golden beets, and cauliflower, and we have Chinese forget-me-nots. This is a 4-foot shelf, by the way, so we just took a look at the top 3 rows, those ones right there. There are still 1, 2 more. These are the newest seedlings. Most of these have 120 soil blocks. So this one is straw flowers. This one is Clarkia or Godetia, sort of patchy germination on that, but that's okay. This is just a little bonus flower. We have status just starting to pop up, and we have lupins, and there's that obvious lupin foliage just starting to pop up right there. There are quite a few of those, and these are perennials. And the bottom shelf, there is more stock right there looking gorgeous. This one is Buplurum. This one is more stock, stock number 3, and just brand new on this one. This is calendula. What's that? Oh, cilantro, and I think I have some dill down there in the back that we can't quite see, and then we have peas, and these ones are going to go out to the greenhouse very, very shortly. Actually, that whole tray, the older of the stalk, and there's a few more things that are going to go out to the greenhouse really, really shortly, actually. Maybe the bachelor's buttons, spinach, I don't know, I'm gonna have a look. And I've just taken a look at a brand new tray. We have some parsley coming up, and some eggplants for my neighbors that are popping up here too. Those need to go under lights right away. So here's a little look at the chaos I'm currently dealing with. All of my dahlias, which I need to water a little bit next, are not even under lights. They're just sitting on the floor because I've ran out of space. It's chaotic in here to the point where I found some anemone corms that I did not start. They are now started. They're in that tray. And my poor dahlias that aren't even under lights. Now these ones here, these cuttings are ready to take. We will be doing that today. These ones, way too big. We're actually going to cut those off and discard them, and then we will get new ones off of the plants. I think I see some small ones popping up already. So that is on the list for today. And until I get a few things out to the greenhouse, this parsley and eggplants, they're going to go right there. We're going to call that good enough for now. So I'm just going to continue watering all these. And these cell trays, the trays on the bottom don't have holes in them. So I prefer to pour water into the tray rather than on top. Can you see that there's roots coming all the way through the bottom? That is fantastic. I do have a spray bottle here too, and that is for anything that I think may yet still germinate. Especially with the soil blocks, the seeds are sitting just on top. And anything that still has the seeds stuck on top of the leaves, a little bit of moisture really helps those to loosen and come off. Because you can lose seedlings easily that way. All right, everyone's happy? So that's job 1 done. Job 2 is to go open up the greenhouse for the day. Now normally I would have those lights on a timer and I wouldn't have to go and turn them on every day, but I have not found my timer yet. Should not be there. I need to find my timer. That's going to be on the list of things to do today too. And on a similar note, hello sunshine. I have a little hook behind the door so that it doesn't blow away in the wind when I leave it open for the day. It is lovely in here. Now when it's going to be particularly cold, I stick my thermometer down where the plants are. This says 12 degrees Celsius. Wow. I highly doubt it was 12 overnight because it was supposed to get below freezing. There. Normally it lives about there. Now a bunch of these trays often do stay up on these shelves, but it was getting pretty cold last night and I would rather keep things down on the ground just to help regulate the temperature a little bit. But it does make for more work in the mornings. But that's okay. It's spring. It's really nice to have an excuse to get outside in the morning. It is spring. Today is the first day of spring. I don't know when you'll be watching this, but it is March the 20th today. So I'll give you a little summary of what is happening up here. 2 trays of anemones, 1 tray of sweet peas. I planted those in a video, so if you happen to watch that, they have beautiful germination on those. And all the ranunculus, I think 8 trays. 6, 8. Yes. 8 trays of ranunculus here on the ground. These are daffodils. So I mentioned briefly before that I relocated all my daffodils. I dug them all up and actually did not get them planted. They stayed in just loose in pots like this all winter. Last fall was so busy and it got cold on the ground, froze before I could get these planted. But they were all showing growth. So I've been potting them up little by little. We do have regular perennial daffodils, a lot of beautiful varieties. I'm really hoping to save some. Even if they don't bloom this year, I just want to keep them alive and then feed them, keep them healthy. And then once the foliage dies back, I can find spots in the garden to plant them so that I won't have to worry about that again this year. But I also have things like snake's head fritillaries that I didn't get planted last year for my wholesale order. And one of these tubs, I think this one here, is paper white daffodils that you're supposed to grow indoors over Christmas time. So I'm not sure if those will bloom, but if they will actually go with my spring bouquets. So that's not a huge loss. So I'm going to have lots of these pots kind of scattered everywhere while I try to salvage all of those bulbs that I found in my basement. We've been busy putting some gravel down. I need a little more because I actually discovered that once I took all the paving out, and the ground level here is actually lower than it is outside. And a few days after I brought all my ranunculus out here, it flooded. Luckily, there are no holes on the bottom of most of these pots. The ones that did have holes got put up. They're the anemones actually. Looks like they have recovered beautifully. They all look gorgeous. If I can get around to it today, I'm going to pop into town and get a little bit more gravel. So I have a lovely little side table and chair that I want to put in here, along with some shelving to get these things off the floor so that I can actually fit that chair. But this, not only is it amazing space for seedlings in the spring, but I really want to be able to come have my morning coffee in here too. So this door will stay open all day, and when it gets even warmer out here, some of these windows do open for more circulation, but these ones in the back, let's see, that one right there and that one right there, I might also open those on days like today, where it's only supposed to be a few degrees above freezing, but with that sun beating down, it can hit 35 degrees Celsius in here, even if it's only 2 or 3 outside. We've only been in here about 2 minutes, look, but that's already gone up to 15.9, almost 16 degrees Celsius. For reference, that's pretty much the same temperature that it is in my basement. Beautiful flowers on the first day of spring. I have some snowdrops. Now these ones I know are Galanthus voronovii. I don't know what the other ones are. Some good growth on the chives too. We'll have fresh herbs before we know it. A little peek at the tulip bed. They are coming, slowly but surely. Bald eagle, way, way too high in the sky to be able to get that on camera. All right, it is too cold to be out without a coat. So now I need breakfast and coffee. He's loud, huh, Molly? What? Yeah? Yeah. You do? I am now going to sit and drink my coffee, enjoy the sunshine for a little bit. Then I do have to go get ready for the day, do a couple of other non-plant related tasks, so I will see you in a couple hours. And next we have some things to pot up. So I've just had lunch, I had my office work to do, and that ended up filling up most of the morning. And my afternoon coffee. I feel like I'm constantly drinking coffee in these videos. I only have 2 to 3 cups a day, but I always seem to have them when I'm filming. So I have feverfew and I have spinach here in front of me, and I've started the feverfew. I just did one. Oh, I never really noticed the nice smell that feverfew seedlings have. So feverfew is apparently medicinal. I use it for cut flower fillers. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous plant. Tiny, tiny little flowers in shades of white, cream, and yellow usually. There is one that's titled lime green. Which one is this? Did I title this one? Gazania, that's from last year. Virgo, feverfew Virgo. This seed came from Johnny's. In my climate, actually, I've successfully had it over winter, and I didn't actually plant any last year. Everything I had last year was overwintered from the year before, and there was about a 20 to 30% loss over the winter. So I'm sure I'm going to need some more for this year. It's still a bit early to tell what has successfully overwintered and what hasn't, so it's always good to have a little extra than end up with not enough. And the trouble with overwintering everything is it will all bloom within a 2 to 4 week or so period. It's not a continuous harvest. You can sometimes get another flush off of them, but I'd like to start feverfew a couple of times this year. I do have some different varieties. I think at least one. I think I bought Venmo single this year, and I saved some seed from my own plants last year. I know I had Magic Lime Green, I think was one of them. Not sure which ones I saved seed from, but I'm going to do another sowing of feverfew, at least one more, hopefully 2, and see if I can get a bit of an extended harvest. Feverfew is fantastic for filling a lot of space. It's really good bulk. something different than just plain greenery for taking up space. I have a tray here that has 12 packs in them, but then I went and grabbed this one as well, and this has 32. So this is a 32 cell. They're a bit wider, they're not super deep, but feverfew tends to get a little bit bushy, so I thought it might be better for this one to have a little bit more space to bush out instead of those ones are all pretty tightly packed together. So I do have 2 more of these trays in case I run out. I have no idea how many seedlings I have here, and which is the downside to this type of sowing. These plants are so healthy looking. Some of them are a bit bigger than others, that's okay. Yes, I know a pencil is not the best tool for the job, but it's not going to ruin it, and I have it on hand, and it does the trick just fine. You can ruin the eraser end, but it's not the end I'm using. Now, I was tempted to go down and fill the other 2 of these trays, but then I thought if I plant the rest into these 12 packs, there's a little bit less root space in there, but that might cause these to grow a little bit slower than those and then actually give me the succession that I want. They might bloom a couple of weeks later than those, which would work out perfectly, really. And that will save me from having to fill 2 more trays. So I'm going to get the rest of this done and then do the spinach in the same tray. So ideally, all of this will end up filling this 1 tray and I'll only have these 2 to deal with. And that only took me about 5 extra minutes. So I just have to water these and then we'll get them back downstairs to the grow lights. And then I have to clean up my mess. So we are down here next to take Dahlia cuttings. I've already got all my supplies ready here in front of me. I have a 15 cell plug tray, and these are quite large. I think they're about 2 inches across either way and about 2 inches deep too. I have put some water in the bottom tray to let it wick up from the bottom. I have a jar of rooting hormone, and this is not necessary. Dahlias tend to take from cuttings pretty easily. What's more important is that you provide it with the proper environment, but I have a little bit of rooting hormone, so I'm going to use it anyway. I grabbed this dry erase marker just because it's the right size for making holes in my potting soil. So I have 2 bins of dahlias here in front of me. I just twisted off those shoots that were too large. The tubers will sprout new ones, and I will still end up with way more than I have now. So there are the first ones we're going to do, and it looks like we have 1, 2, maybe 3, 4. These ones are small, but they should take 5, 6, 7, 8. That's pretty good. We'll have a look and see what's left after we take the biggest ones. This one here is still a little bit small. There's only about 1.5 inches of it showing. We'll check on that one again in a couple of days. Now you can be very exact about this and use a knife to slice it off as close to the tuber as possible. Even getting a small sliver of tuber is said to be helpful, but my favorite method is to grasp it as close to the base as I possibly can, bend and give it a little twist, and it pulls right off. And this little piece of tuber right here is not a problem. It's actually helpful, and that will very quickly grow roots. What I am going to do is take off these leaves and also those leaves. Now I should have done this first. I don't actually want to dip my cutting right in my jar and possibly contaminate this because we can be using this for a couple of years. So I'm going to pour some of it off into this little saucer, dip, give it a little tap because it doesn't need a lot of excess. Where's my marker? There's my marker. Just going to put a hole right down as close to the bottom as I can because that's where it's going to stay moist, and I'm going to gently pat the soil, not firming it at all, just to make sure that it holds the cutting up, and hopefully my humidity dome will fit over that. And now with that first one done, I just have to do all the rest in the exact same way. Let's get these ready beforehand this time. Now this one I actually broke off one node too high, so there's still about an inch left on the tuber. And I was going to discard this, but let's plant it anyway. Dahlias are supposed to take fairly easily from cutting, so let's test that theory. I'm taking off the excess leaves because the more leaves you have, the quicker that this little cutting is going to transpire water, which is a fancy way of saying lose all of its moisture, and until it has roots, it does not have a way of replenishing that. So I've taken off, and I'm going to put this one in the middle to help it stay a little bit more moist rather than on the side. So that one is in the exact center, so we'll see if it recovers and roots like the other ones. There is the last one. These are all different states for sure. Some of them were fairly thick on the base, some of them were definitely on the more spindly side. And some are much more mature, some are way smaller. Now, I'm going to break off this really big one just to show you the difference. Maybe. So here's where it was connected to the tuber. It's a little more red on the bottom. It has some thicker material right there. That is likely going to root really, really fast. Whereas the much smaller ones haven't really had the time to thicken that base, and they may root a little bit slower. That is my theory. I don't know that for sure. And if I were to root this one, I'm going to take off these leaves and actually these ones too. So I think that might be much too small, but it's perfectly okay to leave just that at the bottom. Alternately, you could have left this set of leaves and pinch off the growing tip, which means that the side shoots would start to develop and it would end up growing into more of a shrub rather than one tall stem. But I'm actually going to pitch this one. So I'm going to clean up my extra leaves. I filled my tray, so that is potentially 15 brand new dahlias. So let's see. Oh, I'm not confident. That might be all right, actually. Squish the leaves a little bit. I don't think they're really going to mind. That's only a couple. So yeah, let's do that. Keeping humidity on them is much more important than salvaging a couple of leaves. So there we go. It has soaked up all of the water, and I can tell by the weight that there's a lot of moisture in this tray. So that is perfectly fine. It should be nearby to some lights. I'm going to keep it on heat overnight, and I think move them over to my lights in the morning, making sure that there's enough moisture in there for sure. And I found my timer. It took me about 20 minutes of searching. We really do not have a very good organization system down here in the basement. Now we can get this set up, and I won't have to come down and turn on and off my lights every single day. I'm going to set it from about 6 a.m. I think to 10 p.m. That's usually more than enough. Done. So I just ran out to the greenhouse just to close it up. It is no longer sunny and the wind's starting to pick up, so that's closed up for the night. When I was down taking those cuttings, I double checked that nothing else needed water, and now that my lights will turn off automatically, that is officially everything I need to do for today. But within the next week, it looks like I will be able to do some planting outside, which means potting up and moving out a bunch of those smaller seedlings out to the greenhouse. So we will be doing that together next week. For today, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you then.